Hi, and welcome to Room of Rock with Ted and I. Now this time in the Room of Rock, we thought we'd kick off the new year with something slightly different. We're going to give you a look and a bit of an overview of our budget SubZero pencil condenser microphones. I was in the market for some pencil condenser microphones and I'm looking round as you do, and I didn't see a lot of information on these particular ones. The only video I could find really was the Gear for Music video, which are the company that actually sell them. I think SubZero is really kind of their house brand. It seems a bit like Torman or whatever it is, and their Harley Benton range. So the reason I plumped for these over some of the other ones at a similar price point was the fact that these have got a 10 dB pad on them and a low cut filter on them, which you engage by two click switches on the actual microphone body. The 10 dB pad means it reduces the output by 10 dB, so that if you're miking up something that's loud like a guitar amplifier, a snare drum or something, and you're struggling to get the input down without it clipping, you can engage that to give you more control at the mixer or your interface. And the low cut filter cuts the lower frequencies out, so maybe if you've got things like a kind of buzz or a hum off of amplifiers or air conditioning rumbling away in a room, that could prove useful. And I thought, well, if you don't use them, that's great, but they're there should you need them on that occasion, so I thought they were worthwhile to have. Anyway, what I'll do, I will move the camera in and we'll open the box up and we'll show you exactly what you get. Well, let's open the old box up and see what we've got inside of our SubZero SZC-100 pencil condenser microphones. So there you go, we've got a pop or windshield. Pop that out of the way. We've got the microphone clip, and that's got an adapter in it, so it'll work with the two commonly used sizes of microphone stand thread. And then there's a little padded bag there which has obviously got the microphone in it. Let's open that up, so that'd be handy if you were popping it in. You know, that's got an element of padding. It probably wouldn't save it saying it was dropped on it heavily, but it, you know, it'll protect it a bit from knocks and dings. And there's the microphone itself. So it's got a metal body with quite a, what feels like quite a nice blue finish. You know, feels quite thick to the touch. So hopefully it should last. It's got your XLR output socket, and then you've got the chromed head. It's a cardioid pattern microphone. And you can see there, I think if you look, that's the switch to engage the 10 dB pad. So if you've got that pointing at something very loud like an electric guitar amplifier, you could engage that to reduce the output on the microphone. So it means you could run your preamp gains up a little bit to give you a bit more control at the other end of the signal chain. And there is that, where that line's straight, that means that's giving you a flat response, and then you engage that and that'll reduce the low frequencies. So your low frequency cut in order to try and reduce maybe noise and hum and rumble off of electrical equipment, and maybe a bit of wind noise if you're actually outside. So that's basically what you get in the box. So the next thing to do is plug it in and see what it sounds like, see whether it's gives a good representation of sounds. Well, as we always say, if you like what we're doing here in the Room of Rock, please think about giving us a thumbs up and maybe subscribing. Also leave a comment, if you're using another brand of budget microphones that you think are comparable, maybe better, let us know. It's all about us sharing information so we can all make the best informed decisions when we're thinking of buying something. Just to make it clear, just so you're aware, the microphones are condenser microphones, which means they've got a preamp in them which requires a power source. Dynamic microphones, things like the Shure SM57 and SM58, don't. They will plug straight into an ordinary source like maybe an amplifier, but these won't. They require phantom power at 48 volts. So just so you're aware, if you weren't aware, it's no good just buying them and expecting them to be able to plug into your guitar amplifier or something like that. It won't work. So you would need phantom power, and that's available from things like mixers, which are available fairly cheaply, or audio interfaces if you're doing home recording and you want to record straight onto your computer. So just so you're aware, so you don't buy the microphones and find that you can't actually use them until you bought additional equipment. If you wanted to go to the route where you maybe wanted to do just some home recording as a test, possibly a USB microphone might be the way forward, because they're powered from the USB socket on your computer or laptop, and you can get good results for them. And you can certainly get a result if you're just starting out and you don't think you're going to be doing a lot, or you just want to dabble and have a go, see if you like it. That possibly might be a way forward. But it's a thought, and there's plenty of reviews on USB microphones on here. Well, the first test I thought I would do with the microphone is just talk into it so we can hear what that's like. Now, I did try this and play it back just to make sure I had the levels set right, and I was getting a lot of plosives, like so the pop shield really wasn't doing its job very well. Now, whether I've lowered the gain on the preamp a bit, so whether that's, on the mixer, so whether that's helped. If not, maybe you could use a pop shield like this, which are fairly cheap, if you were using it for any vocabulary or talking or dialogue at all. I mean, that's not what I bought it for, but it's here on a stand. I thought, well, let's test it. So the pop shield itself isn't actually as good as possibly it could be. Maybe a better one would help. Maybe now I've turned down the gain on the mixer, it's better, but I'm not sure, because I'm just about to listen back to this and see if it's made an improvement. But the first one I tried, and that was showing at minus 12 dB, which is where I normally record, was very, sensitive to plosives and things. So we'll see if it's better now I've turned the gain down a bit, or whether, oops, that's probably noisy, whether an additional pop shield would make all the difference for that. And as I say, these are available very cheaply. I think this was about £5, this one, and I tend to use it when I'm doing vocals or something like that anyway. Now what I've done is I've put the two microphones together on a XY bar so that they're facing at 90 degrees to each other, so it should keep them in phase with each other, so you shouldn't get any phase cancellation. And then run them as a stereo pair, so I've got one panned hard left, one panned hard right on the mixer. So the idea being you get the same signal recorded twice, but you kind of get a spread on it, gives it a little bit more depth. So I'll strum a few chords so you can hear that. Now, still with them set as a stereo pair, I shall do a little bit of finger picking. Well, what I do now, I'll set them up in front of the electric guitar amplifier and just see how they cope with the sound pressure of that. That's not the application I bought them for at all. I bought them more for acoustic instruments and percussion type situations. But it will be interesting, just as a matter of fact, to see how they can reproduce the electric guitar amplifier signal. So hang around and we'll see how that goes. The only criticism I would throw at them is the actual microphone clip itself isn't particularly good. It doesn't seem to grip the microphone very securely, and you find that if you were putting it at an angle like that, the microphone would or runs the risk of slipping out. And I've tried their plastic, and I've tried heating it up gently and pushing it in to make it tighter, but it seems to, with time, open up and then want to slip. So how I've combated that, to be honest, you could use a rubber band or whatever, but I've put a hairband round the microphone and the clip so that it's secure, and now you know that you could use that on a drum overhead or something. That's not going to come out easily and not fall on the floor or whatever. Whereas before, there to me, there was a danger that would happen. So, you know, that's the only thing I've come up against, is the fact that I don't think the actual microphone clips themselves are, you know, particularly brilliant. But then, you know, for the price you pay for the whole package, maybe that's to be expected. And, you know, it's something you could either do what I've done with a band round it, or you could just buy a better quality microphone clip at a later stage. Maybe one of those universal ones that sort of actually grips. But that, you know, for the sake of a rubber band or something, that's sorted that out and made it feel a lot more secure. So just to sum up, I bought them as a pair of microphones that came with 2 boom stands and 2 leads, and I think the cost for that was about £90. I'm just checking here. Yeah, it was about £90. So for the £90 you got the 2 microphones, 2 boom stands and 2 XLR leads to use. So I thought that was quite good value, to be honest, as a whole pack, because the boom stands, whilst they're not probably robust enough that you want to take them out gigging day in day out, they're, you know, really fine for recording use and home recording, where they're not getting moved around and folded up and put back together a lot, because some of the fittings on them are plastic, so you think, you know, how long they would last on the road, I don't know, but for home recording and more gentle use, they're absolutely fine. You can also buy the microphones as a pair with the microphone clips and the pop shields, and that's about £55. And then currently, if you bought a single microphone, if you only wanted the one, I think that's about £30. So I think for that, obviously if you wanted an XY bar like this, that's extra, because that doesn't come with it. That's something I already had. I know if you're looking for like a budget pencil condenser microphones, I think the Behringer ones come in a box, and they come with an XY bar as well, and I think they are cheaper, but whether they're better or not, I don't know. You know, you can be the judge of whether you think these are any good. You know, I've been quite surprised they're quite good. They're not noisy, there's no hiss off of them, off the preamps or anything on them, so I think they've coped with everything I've thrown at them so far. So I hope that proved interesting, and if you're in the market for some pencil condenser microphones, maybe it's something to look at and see. Anyway, we'll see you again soon in the Room of Rock with Ted and I.